Ladies and gentlemen, Netflix, they've done it again. Over the last few years, we've seen Netflix really have a little hard-on for animated video game adaptations. Whether it's the Dota animated series, the Dragon's Dogma animated series, or the Witcher animated films, or probably the best of all of them, the Castlevania animated series, Netflix has been pumping out all sorts of animated content adapted from popular video games or movie franchises. Now, while yes, some of these animated series adapted from video games are better than others, I think Netflix have once again struck gold, this time with their animated adaptation of the Devil May Cry video game series, which is currently sitting at a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I've talked about this several times on the channel, specifically most recently in a video I put up last week about The Last of Us series, but to me it makes a lot of sense why like streaming services and like movie studios are so obsessed with adapting video games and other popular media, whether it be in animated form or live action form. Taking a popular franchise and adapting it into a new form of media is basically like a cheat code for streaming services to try and garner like a new audience by tapping into an already established fan base, a lot of times this fan base being absolutely ravenous. Now, in the past, we've seen all sorts of like garbage attempts to adapt video games into movies. So much so that the video game live action adaptation has basically become a meme at this point and has traumatized all sorts of video game fans all over the world. However, adapting a video game franchise into an animated series generally seems to yield better results than trying to go down the live action route. I mean, again, this makes a lot of sense. Most video game kind of series are larger than life and filled with all sorts of like crazy powers or creatures that are much easier to translate into an animated work than into a live action one. Like, for as good of a job as the Witcher series did in turning this very popular video game franchise into a live action series, personally, I still prefer the animated pieces of media, and I think that it works a lot better in animated format. For example, like the Witcher movie, animated movie, Nightmare of the Wolf. While yes, live action video game series like the Fallout series and the Last of Us series have shown us that studios have seemingly learned from the many live action video game adaptations of the past, in general, I think going down the animated route, the animation route, is a much easier recipe for success when trying to take a video game franchise and put it into the big screen, turning it into some kind of series for a streaming company. This brings us to Netflix's newest addition into the animated video game adaptation, the super popular Capcom series Devil May Cry. A series adapted by Adi Shankar, the same man who adapted Netflix's Castlevania animated series. So immediately when I saw this, I was like, oh shit, this may actually be really good. Devil May Cry is an iconic Capcom video game franchise, the first game being released in 2001 as an original failed attempt to be part of the Resident Evil franchise. Devil May Cry becoming a super successful and popular franchise in its own right, and in many ways kind of set the blueprint for how to make a popular action-adventure kind of hack-and-slash type game. Devil May Cry follows the story of the cocky, humorous demon hunter Dante and his attempts to thwart various powerful demons from invading Earth. In the world of Devil May Cry, demons and humans once existed within the same realm, but long ago the demon Sparta fought alongside the humans, defeating the demon Lord Mundus and sealing the demons away in their own realm. The demon Sparta, the savior of humanity, later falling in love with a human who gave birth to two half-demon, half-human hybrids, the twin brothers Dante and Virgil. Netflix's Devil May Cry takes obvious inspiration from multiple Devil May Cry games to create an all-new original story. The plot primarily focusing around a demon-obsessed madman known as the White Rabbit, who is trying to open the demon realm and unleash the full force of Mundus and demonkind onto Earth. The rabbit needing Dante's necklace along with his blood to ultimately fulfill this plot. Dante we see for the first half of our series being none the wiser to his demon lineage as he is being hunted by the government organization, the Dark Realm Command, and its elite task force led by Lieutenant Mary Ann Arkham, or better known to Devil May Cry fans as Lady. And goddamn, does this show freaking slap, man. For me, the most important thing when I see one of my favorite video game franchises, books, or like anime being adapted into another form of media is that this adaptation is faithful to the original source material, particularly in the story, or at least in story elements and themes, but really, I think more importantly, that this adaptation captures the same kind of feeling or vibe, if you will, of the original source material. And let me tell you, they absolutely nailed the animated adaptation of the Devil May Cry series, specifically in how a Devil May Cry animated series should feel. The Devil May Cry video games are kind of fun, high-octane action games. They have this kind of on-the-nose humor to them, in that they really don't seem to take themselves too seriously. Specifically that the main character, Dante, is this goofy, funny, but still incredibly badass devil hunter. Dante's comedic devil may care attitude really kind of permeating throughout the vibe of the entire game. And to me, the thing that makes Netflix's Devil May Cry animated series so good is how they really capture this feeling. The show is filled with all sorts of super awesome kick-ass fight scenes, funny moments, one-liners, and hilarious references to the video game that will make any Devil May Cry fan smile. One of my favorites, specifically coming at the end of episode 1, where we watch Dante playing Dance Dance Revolution in his apartment, a very on-the-nose reference to a very iconic scene from the video game franchise. Real quick, guys, if you are enjoying this video, if you learned something new, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as that is the easiest way to support me, and it really does go a long way in putting this video to the algorithm. One of my favorite things about this show, though, outside of its very awesome, very Devil May Cry-esque bloody action fight scenes, is the absolute banger soundtrack that this show has. I mean, just listen to this track list. Guerrilla Radio, Rage Against the Machine, Last Resort, Papa Roach, American Idiot, Green Day, an altered version of the classic Devil May Cry song, Devil Trigger, and possibly my favorite song of the entire series, the song for the opening Animations, Rollin' by Limp Bizkit. I mean, that moment that Last Resort comes blaring over my headphones in this climactic kind of fight scene in episode 3, I absolutely lost my shit, man. Like, this is such a banger song for a banger fight scene and moment in this series. It just felt so perfect. Like, this is kind of obvious, but it really is crazy to me, like, just how much a soundtrack can really enhance an already good animated series, and I think that the song choices for Devil May Cry are absolutely perfect in capturing the overall tone and themes of this show as a whole. Speaking of the show's bloody and awesome fight scenes, this show was animated by Studio Mir, a South Korean studio probably most famous for The Legend of Korra, The Boondocks, X-Men 97, and the aforementioned Witcher animated movie Nightmare of the Wolf. Like, the Devil May Cry animated series isn't like the most beautiful or like even insane animations that you're ever going to see in your life, especially compared to some of the shit that MAPPA has been doing over the last few years, but the animations are incredibly good, and I think that the art style really fits with the theme of Devil May Cry as a whole. Again, Netflix Devil May Cry, I think, is really leaning into the comedic and really over-the-top nature of the Devil May Cry video game franchise, and it definitely isn't taking itself too seriously, which I think really helps capture that same kind of vibe from the video game series. As well, what I think really makes this show good is the casting that they did for the many iconic characters from the video game franchise. I mean, casting a character like Dante is no easy job, as his character is very iconic, so finding someone that can do it justice probably was pretty difficult. So to me, it's really no surprise they went with an actor who had already voiced a character in the Devil May Cry video game series, Johnny Young Bosch, the voice actor who played Nero in the video game series, as well as the voice actor for Ichigo from Bleach, and also hilariously the man who played Adam Park, the Black Ranger in the original Power Rangers show. Bosch absolutely nails Dante's character for me, especially in the way that he delivers his very stupid, witty humor and all the one-liners in this show. And I imagine that the fact that he already has worked in the Devil May Cry franchise and played a very important character in the Devil May Cry video game series probably really helped him understand like the tone, the vibe, and all of the themes of this character as a whole. There's a bunch of other really great voice actors and voice performances in this show as well. Kevin Conroy does an amazing job portraying the aura and kind of cult-like fanaticism of the character, the Vice President William Baines, who is very much the second kind of main antagonist in the show, which makes it probably all the more tragic that Conroy passed away during the production of this show, but his performance is really just absolutely fantastic. As well, we have appearances by my boy, Robbie Damon as Virgil. A shout out to all my Critical Role homies and fans out there. As well as a really surprise cameo appearance from my favorite pro wrestler, Kenny Omega. Kenny voice acting the mercenary Sly in the opening scenes of episode 2. Low-key, this is probably one of my favorite pieces of animated content that is going to come out, for the entirety of 2025, which honestly is really saying something in a year that we've already seen have several banging Japanese anime. And to me, this is another prime example of like how to successfully adapt a video game franchise into an animated series. To me, the most important thing when you are adapting a video game or an anime or any piece of media into another form of media is being loyal to the original source material. And it very much seems like Adi Shankar understands this if you look at how he has adapted Castlevania into an animated series, and now how he has adapted Devil May Cry. Throughout most of my life, video game and anime fans have been constantly let down and disappointed by seeing some of their favorite franchises get absolutely butchered when they are eventually adapted to either an anime or a live-action format. I mean, don't even get me started on the absolute travesty that was the Dragon Ball Z live-action movie or like the Doom live-action movie with The Rock.
Bruh, look at this dude.
But I can confidently say that Netflix's Devil May Cry animated adaptation may be one of my favorite video game adaptations of all time, outside of the likes of like Castlevania's adaptation or something like Arcane. And this really does give me hope for more banger video game adaptations from Netflix, hopefully in the near future. As always though guys, with these videos, these are just my thoughts and opinions, so feel free to let me know yours in the comment section down below. What did you think of Netflix's Devil May Cry? Do you think that it does a good job in paying homage to this very successful, very popular video game franchise? As always, if you enjoyed this video or you learned something new, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as that is the easiest way to support me, and it really does go a long way, guys, in helping to put this video into the algorithm. If you did like this video, then why don't you check out some of my other videos on screen now, and as always, guys, I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you again for continuing to watch my stuff and support me. As always, stay safe out there. Until next time, peace, love, Adu.